Welcome to the Mortgage Podcast, where we give tactics, strategies, and inspiration to get you to 10 plus loans per month. We talk a lot about how to make a ton of money in mortgage while also being happy and thriving in your personal life. If you want to be a mortgage millionaire, you're in the right place. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mortgage Podcast, where we're trying to get everybody in the world to 10 loans a month. And I really like this focus, and I really appreciate you watching. Years ago, date myself here, 33 years ago, I went to my boss. I had just started in the mortgage business out of college, and I had been doing loans about 4 or 5 months. I said, "Boss, man." He says, "What?" I said, "Could I hire 2 free assistants?" And he's all, "Free assistants?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I just graduated this college, and they've got a bunch of people that'll work for free just to put it on their resume." And he says, "Well, let me check with HR and I'll let you know." Comes back a few days later, he says, "Yeah, we'll do that." So I hired 2 people from my old college, and I gave them a script. They only had 1 script at the time, and they would cold call people all day, about 4 hours each per person, so 8 hours of cold calls a day. And they would generate anywhere from 3 to 7 appointments for me every single day. And I would go on those appointments, and then I would, of course, follow up the 2-step close process, which is what I learned to do from another mentor. And I had a lot of time to do loan apps and meet with new clients all the time. And then eventually, of course, I'm meeting with existing clients that are sending me business, like realtors, mainly realtors at that time. So fast forward, 30 plus years. And I start Jolt, which I've referenced on here a little bit. It's basically an advertising and marketing company that gets loan officers appointments. So last month, this is April of 2025, we set 27 appointments per client with the top 5% of realtors in the nation. And there's a whole process that we follow. There's lots of management. There's lots of details. There's CRMs, but we do it all for the client. And I'm talking to one this morning, and he's all, "Todd, I've met with more accounts in 4 months being in Jolt than I did in 4 years. So it's no wonder that my business tanked when the market went down. I just wasn't making any sales calls." Now, I'm going to give you the meat and potatoes here because I like keeping these fairly short and impactful. I was meeting with a group of realtors in Kansas City a few weeks ago. I was out visiting some branches, and we had a meeting with like 8 top producing realtors in that market. I go around the table, and none of them were calling their past client. So I brought up this idea, hey, let's have someone call them for you. And whoa, that was a big hell no until we started talking about it. Let me just give you some examples that I gave them. I said, "Hey, Veronica, it's Todd Scrima. I work with Cindy at Caldwell Banker just to celebrate the beginning of summer. And she'd love for you to come as one of her best clients." And Veronica will say yes, and sometimes she says no, and sometimes she says no, but says, "Hey, but have Cindy call me. I've got a referral for my sister's looking to buy a house." That's generally the 3 outcomes, right? Someone says, "No, can't make it. Yes, I'll come." Or, "No, but I've got a referral for you," because it's contact. And I could go on with different offers and all kinds of things. I did an experiment recently with one of our loan officers, and we had an appointment setter call his entire database. And he has a big database. He had about 1,300 past clients. We were able to secure 9 HELOCs. This is in 1 week. 9 HELOCs that he closed and 2 cash out refinances. They did end up talking to the loan officer, but there was an appointment setter, or some people call it a dialer, that called the database for him. That made him, it was about $23,000. And it costs about, I think it was about $500, or maybe it was $800. There are 3 other ways to leverage, but the one that we can all take advantage of is time, okay? Now, let me go one step further. I start doing this Jolt thing, and, it's not a big company. We have 45 clients right now, and the biggest it'll ever be is like 100, right? So it's not a big company. So I get to know them all really well. We're all on a call for an hour a week together, and we're having a bunch of success. Everyone's pumped up, and it's just a lot of fun. I asked the people on the call, I'm like, how many of you, prior to us making a bunch of phone calls for you and setting a bunch of appointments, how many of you did this on your own? Now, the top producer of the group spoke up very loudly and confidently, and he says, "Todd, I only made 3 outbound calls in my career." Now, the guy does a lot of business,
But he did it in different ways. He did buddy lunches, and he'd put on a seminar with 25 agents and then ask them if they wanted to meet with him afterwards. And he was smart, so he did other things that worked, but he never did that. And this guy is on pace to make over 800,000 this year. That led to this really, because the top producer spoke up and said, "Hey, I've never done it." Then one by one, everyone feels safe to admit, "Nope, I have never done it," or I might make one call out a month to a listing agent or something like that. So here's what I learned. And I want you to stick with me for a second. Call reluctance is real. It's not kind of real. It is as real as your heart beating. I have coached some of the most successful individuals in sales, and almost every single one of them will not pick up that telephone a lot. In my previous coaching company, it says, "Oh, I called all these people." Like it's a tracking sheet that we used. And I'm just going to say it because it's going to offend some people. Everyone lied. Now, they would put calls down of people they knew because they felt comfortable calling them. If they did an update call to a borrower, they stuck it on there because it's a borrower doing transaction with them. But the ones that said they made a bunch of calls to call fresh people and introduce themselves with a good offer of value, almost zero. So call reluctance is a real thing. We're like, "Todd, well, why does it work when you do it?" Well, we make our appointment setters do it through a CRM, so there's no hiding. We can see how long the call was, whether it was 5 seconds or 5 minutes. We can see how many appointments they set because the loan officer is going on the appointment. So there's no hiding with how we do it. But number two, we hire people that actually love to make those calls. And you're like, "Todd, no one loves making those calls." You're wrong. There is a certain personality that loves making those calls. And just to prove this to you, a lot of people are deathly afraid of public speaking. But I've done a lot of it. I enjoy it. It fires me up. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy it. It's not nervous to me. I would almost rather do that than anything else in my life. But you say, "Todd, most people hate public speaking." Okay, there's some people that don't. There are some people that don't mind making calls. They do fall into a certain category, but there are people that they like making the calls. They don't have any stress when they get done working. It allows them to work from home sometimes. Like there's a lot of benefits to certain people. Now, the second thing is real as well, and that is people get too busy. Now, if you're a loan officer and you're closing 7, 8, 9 loans a month, and it's just you or maybe one assistant, you're always busy. There is always a problem to solve. There's always an escrow blowing up. There's always something, a new lead. Like you're saying, I can make 30 outbound calls, or I can call back this lead that's going to make me $4,000. It's a pretty easy decision. So those two things are at conflict, and those two reasons are why you need an appointment setter. Because I'm going to suggest you, if no one's setting you up to make calls, or no one's setting you up appointments, then you're the appointment setter. I just told you the two reasons why you're a horrible appointment setter. So by definition, in most cases, your business is not going to grow, and your business is going to go up and down with the market. Some of that is true for all of us. But there's a big difference between going up and down with the market and going up and down with the market. Okay? One is like, you catch a sailfish and it jumps out of the water, 10 feet. And one is like a porpoising dolphin. Like go a little up and down, but not a lot up and down. So that's the difference. And if you really pay attention to individuals that do really well in sales, almost always they have an appointment setter. I mean, I'm talking the top 1, 2, 3, 4%ers. They almost always have appointment setters. So I want to do this podcast because I want people to get over themselves as far as delegation. Is it better that someone calls your database that's not you, or someone, or for no one to call them ever? And once I said that and let it sink in, we started to get into some real strategy. And that's what I'm proposing to you, is you all have a ton of business out there, especially if you've been doing this a while. But if you don't have time, or you have too much call reluctance to actually stay in touch with them, someone should be helping you do that. By the way, I always think you should make calls. I still call people all the time. I still make cold calls. So it doesn't embarrass me to call someone and offer my goods and services because I'm really good at what I do. I'm not like sweating making the call. Now, in the beginning when I did it, yes, I was, but I was also starving. So, that there was motivation to do that. But to this day, I'll hear of someone or I'll see someone, I'll think of someone, and I'll just call them. And I don't think we should be embarrassed to do that. So there's some psychological tricks to some of the stuff that we're talking about. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. If this rings true or you think it could help another salesperson, do me a favor and share this with them. That's really how this kind of spreads organically. I don't do paid ads and I don't like try and have fake communities like some people do. I just want really good people who want really good business advice and expertise to listen to this so that we can get better together. And I'm serious about what I'm talking about. I coached a group today and they were all, one closed 14 loans, one closed 28 loans, one closed 16 loans. The people that are doing things like this are getting better. Like I'm talking numbers like we had in 2017, 2018, 2019 before COVID. They're doing those kind of numbers. They're now saving $10, $20, $30,000 a month again. You can be one of those people, but we have to do something different than you're doing or it's not going to happen. Okay. Hope you enjoyed it. Please share it with someone. Have a beautiful day.